everyone, today I'm going to show you how the penne pasta bake is done around my house. Here are my ingredients: some pasta sauce, some spices, garlic, onion, ground beef, brown sugar, and some white wine. So I have a pot of boiling water that I always like to add salt to. I'm going to go ahead and boil my penne pasta for half of the amount of time. So just for 5 minutes, I'm going to parboil this since I finish it in the oven. So you want to always occasionally stir your pasta. Up next, I'll start on my sauce. I'll put a good amount of olive oil in my pan, and then I'll throw in my onions, and I will saute those a little bit before throwing in my garlic. And you're just going until a nice translucent color is formed on the onions. Again, I'm always checking on the pasta. So about 3 minutes into my onions being cooked, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my chopped garlic. That's about 3 cloves of finely minced garlic. Give that a stir for another 2 minutes or so. And then what I do next is I push my vegetables to the side and I go ahead and add my ground beef. And then I'll break that up and let that cook. Notice the temperature is about a medium to medium high. My pasta is done. I go ahead and turn it off. I'm going to dump it. And remember, I don't ever wash pasta, so it's still very al dente. It's only been cooking for 5 minutes. So my beef mixture is slowly, not turning pink. So I go ahead and add some garlic powder, some oregano, and some basil. Those are classic spices to any bolognese sauce. Next up, I like to deglaze it with about a cup of white wine and some bay leaf and some brown sugar. The brown sugar cuts the acidity out of any tomato-based sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and cook that for about 3 minutes or so until the alcohol absorbs a little bit. And then up next, I just have 2 jars of store-bought marinara sauce, totally doable. And I always like to rinse the sauces, the jars of the sauce with water to get all the extra sauce off of the sides of the glass jar. So this is how my marinara looks, okay, before I let it boil for an hour. It's very watery, and the more you cook it, the more it'll thicken up. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the heat, put a lid on, and I'm not necessarily gonna walk away from this. I'm gonna still uncover it every 10 minutes or so and stir it up. So this has been cooking for about a half an hour. And notice how nice and thick it's getting. And I reduced it down to almost a low. And this has been cooking for about an hour now. It's definitely nice and thick. Up next, I always like to skim the fat that rises to the top, all the oil. We don't really need all that in our sauce because we're going to be adding so much cheese, and cheese already has fat in it. So I just slowly skim off all the oil from the top. Once that's done, I give it a good stir, and then I add my salt and pepper. You always want to add salt and pepper at the end of something, a soup or a sauce or anything like that that's been cooking for over an hour. That's just what I personally do. So my sauce is complete. I now add my parboiled penne pasta in there, and it is still very al dente, like I said. You just stir that up, and at this point, you can just put a bowl of penne pasta and call it a day. But I'm going to take it a step further and add the classic cheeses that would go in a lasagna. Now on to our ricotta. I scramble 1 raw egg in a bowl, and then I have some flat leaf parsley, also known as Italian parsley. I'm just going to finely chop up. And that's going to go into my egg mixture. Up next is my ricotta mixture. I put a whole tub of that in there. And some breadcrumbs to bind everything together. Go ahead and give that a nice stir. Make sure everything is well combined. And what I do next is I start layering it. This is kind of similar to a lasagna, but it's a pasta bake. So on the bottom layer will be my penne pasta with the meat sauce. And see that little bay leaf? That has to come out. That is not edible. Up next, you're going to see me do dollops of the ricotta mixture over the pasta. Just kind of random places. It does not have to be perfect. I'm just kind of patting it down a little. After this, I add a good amount of some cheese. I have some mozzarella, shredded mozzarella. And then I will top it off with some Parmesan cheese. Now this is your first layer, and you do the same exact thing with the next layer. So I prepared this in the evening, and I'm actually going to bake it the next day. So I put the lid on. There's my cat Zara hanging out. And I'm just going to pop this into my fridge to be baked off the next day. So I took off my pan from my fridge and let it come to room temperature for about 45 minutes. I preheated my oven for 375. Go ahead and bake that. That's about a half an hour into it. I removed the lid and continued baking that for another 15 minutes or so to brown it. And that is the final product in a bowl. Thanks for watching, guys.